with a potential change to WWE programming and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Praising Trick Williams for his winning of the NXT title, Booker T noted on his Hall of Fame podcast. I think we got to start with the congratulations to my man Trick Williams. Congratulations to Trick Williams cashing in on the NXT Championship, beating one of the best out there. In my consideration, Ilya Dragunov is next level superstar. He's so passionate for this game. When I talk about guys like Ilya Dragunov, I'm like, man, if I had 20 of these guys at Reality of Wrestling, I could take over the wrestling world. Let me take that back. I don't want to be that guy, but I would have a hell of a wrestling company if I had 20 Ilya Dragunovs. That dude is that good. Working with Trick Williams, he brings the best out of Trick Williams. I'm going to tell you this right here also. Ilya Dragunov brings the best out of everybody. He's just that good. He's that guy. No matter who works with him, they're going to have a really, really good match. I'm going to tell you right now. Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov had such an awesome time inside the squared circle. I enjoyed it immensely. It was one of the times where I look back and say, man, I miss it. That's what I'm missing, when it looks and feels that way. Congratulations, Trick Williams. You're on your way, son. I made a quote about Trick Williams that made headlines all over. Every site in the world picked it up, and the quote was, I didn't think Trick Williams was ready for the main roster just yet because I needed this to happen. This needed to happen before Trick Williams went to the main roster. Trick Williams' confidence when he does get to the main roster, it has to be over the top, because not because he's there because he knows what he's doing. He's prepared for the situation. I think Trick Williams' run with the NXT Championship is gonna, what we talk about with champions, make him so much better, because when you're the champion, you know you gotta be a general. You know you gotta lead. Everything falls on you when it goes wrong, so you got a hyper sense of going out there and making mistakes. You got a hyper sense of going out there and not making mistakes as well. So yeah, it's gonna make him a whole lot better, and I'm gonna be right there in his ear, working to make him better at the same time. No doubt he's gonna be under a boatload of pressure, but that's what champions do. They want to be under pressure. Trick, you can sense when he comes out, when he gets on the mic, the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he dresses, his hairline, everything. He's a star. So right now, he's in a perfect place. This right here is going to catapult him to being so totally ready when he gets to that next level. In an interview during the NFL draft kickoff, AEW President Tony Khan would talk about the reason for wearing a neck brace and even take some shots at WWE.
Because of that devastating Meltzer driver, which has been rebranded,
well, honestly, guys, they changed the name a couple months ago to the Tony Khan driver. Maybe I should have seen it coming in hindsight.
Wait, you knew they changed it a couple months ago?
I mean, the clues were there.
They called it the Tony Khan driver. You know, I have a complicated relationship with Matt and Nick and Jack. Jack had been out of AEW for a while. I'd sent him on an excursion to our partner in Japan where he did great things. I reinstated him Wednesday night on TBS by his own request. He repaid me by hitting me in the stomach with a microphone, and then Matt and Nick pulled me up and gave me the Tony Khan driver, which is really a spike pile driver. It's one of the deadliest moves in pro wrestling. It's been banned in a lot of states. It's illegal in the state of Tennessee. And for them to do that to me in front of millions of people around the world and a great audience live Wednesday night on TBS, it scared me and it scared my family. And I just feel really lucky that I'm here at the NFL draft and with the Jaguars and able to still be working at the Jaguars and AEW right now.
Yeah, and you could hear the folks who came to your assistance yelling, what the hell are you doing? This is a billionaire. You got to be careful.
His father, Shad, came into the ring.
Yeah. Does Shad tell you, like, you got to stay out of the ring? Like, is he concerned for your well-being here?
No, he was very angry at the people that assaulted me. My dad loves AEW, and he's a big fan of what we do. Wednesdays on TBS and Saturdays, just like tomorrow night here in Jacksonville on TNT every week. He watches every show, and he never expected something like that. It's never happened before. You know, AEW, we've been doing this for 5 years. We are the most successful sports startup since the AFL. pre-merger. There has not been a challenger brand that has gained as much market share as AEW in many, many, many years. We are like the Pepsi of pro wrestling, and we're up against a really evil juggernaut. WWE is our competitor. That's who we're facing. AEW, like the Pepsi of pro wrestling. WWE's like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. And I'm really proud of what we do down here.
I think, all right, Tony. All right, Tony, we're gonna
hold on, real quick. What's the prognosis? What are the doctors telling you?
Well, you know, to be honest, I think you're going to have to tune in to AEW to find out what they have to say.
There we go.
Me.
You find out on TNT and TBS what my prognosis is and what's going to happen to me.
I'll tell you what, save all that stuff. Just tell us who you're taking tonight. We'll take that here. How about that?
Well, guys, you know, this is the NFL Network. There's a lot of people watching. I can't give out that kind of sensitive information. And also, a lot of things have to play out in the second and third round. And you can bet Trent and Doug and this great group, we're going to make good decisions and keep trying to make the team better. I think a lot of great things happening in Jacksonville this week.
Yeah.
Recalling his brawl with AJ Styles at the WWE World event prior to their match at WrestleMania 40, LA Knight said this on the Kid Chris show. It was kind of silly for them to sit us next to each other. What did they expect was going to happen? Things blew up, he slammed me down, but when we came out of it, he had a bloody nose. Nope, legitimately, I walked in the room, the setup is a big press junket, and there was a bunch of different seats set out. Of all the seats that were set together, his and mine were within 5 feet of each other. I kind of looked over there and I was said to myself, there's a good chance we might have to fight at some point. I was just thinking that to myself. At some point, he tossed a stool that he was sitting on over in my direction. I was like, well, gotta fight him now. That's pretty much how it goes. Going over how WWE talent found out about details for the draft, it was said that as of Wednesday, talent that Fightful had spoken to had not been told about how the draft would work, what brand they would be going to, or any other details. Besides the upcoming bookings that were set in their talent relations app, WWE did not provide any insight into the method as to whether a few stars would be drafted to specific brands or if a full redraft would take place. Talent found out when the social media post hit what day they'd be drafted to. By Friday morning, several talent didn't know which brand they'd be headed to, but expected to find out that afternoon. Staying on the topic of the WWE draft, Triple H had this to say about it before SmackDown.
Draft's always an exciting show. You know, the difference from this and anything else is a lot of thought has to go into this about where everybody goes, where everybody lands. You want the rosters to be balanced. You want them to have a little bit of everything. So the trick is sort of making this the best it can possibly be going forward from today, but at the same time putting on the best show you can for tonight. So it's always a challenge. We'll see how we do.
Previously, this was said regarding Dominik Mysterio, who is currently out of action, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that. Dominik Mysterio also had an elbow injury. It apparently happened in an April 15th match with Andrade and was described to us as a freak accident. He will be undergoing Tommy John surgery on his elbow, which for a baseball pitcher means at least 9 months out. Since he doesn't have to throw pitches hard, his recovery time would probably be a little shorter. As of right now, the plan would be to keep him as a television character while recovering. He was off the European tour and had his arm in a sling at Raw. Today, Mysterio took to X to reveal that he will not be needing surgery. With swearing having become more prominent on WWE programming, this was said regarding a possible change in the rating of the TV shows. As it was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was said to us that The Rock interviews and Heyman promo are considered the official end of the PG era. This isn't to say that the TV shows will be changing. That is something talked about, but no decision has been made. But I'm guessing a decision will be made at the end of the year when Raw goes to Netflix and NXT to CW, based on what those broadcasters want and also what sponsors will be comfortable with. So that will be determined months from now, but the attempts to keep things PG in the big picture, which had been a big thing to the point of the memo being sent out about it several weeks back, such as in social media or in non-television shows, is now no longer the case. Another thing about the Heyman speech, which set social media records for a Hall of Fame speech viewing, is that it was also meant as the spiritual closing of the book by WWE on ECW and essentially having it be the Hall of Fame key act. That's why Heyman spent so much time on it, why Stephanie McMahon wore an ECW bonnet in the front row during the speech, and why Tommy Dreamer, RVD, and the Dudleys were placed where they were to hug Heyman as he came out. Heyman was going in any way as Paul Levesque's first ever Hall of Fame pick and being in Philadelphia, but it was very much to acknowledge ECW in Philadelphia. Addressing his plans following his release from WWE, Jinder Mahal said this in a video posted to X.
Hey, it's the Maharaja. It's been an eventful week to say the least, but it's all good. I want to first say thank you. Thank you to anyone who reached out, all the love, support, DMs, phone calls, texts, comments. I appreciate all of you guys. I also want to thank everyone in the locker room, all the guys and girls, everyone working backstage, behind the scenes. Thank you. 12 years, 2 runs. Got to see and do amazing things, so many dream matches, traveled the world, got to do things that I never thought I'd be able to accomplish, championships, being in a rock band. It's been an amazing journey. But what's next? What's next for the Maharaja? I've been here before. That time I was a kid, but now I'm a man. I will only present myself in a way that I want to. I will only do things that I want to. I will only go places that I want to. I still have many goals, many dream matches, many places I want to go. Where do I make an impact? India, Europe, Japan, Canada, Red Hook section of Brooklyn. Stay tuned. We got about 11 more weeks. Maharaja out.
Speaking of recent WWE releases, Cameron Grimes revealed when he will be available to work for another promotion, writing this on X. If you've reached out recently regarding booking information, I've created a new email. Please resend any inquiries to booktrevorlee@gmail.com, available July 22nd. It appears an anonymous source is attempting to expose CM Punk's alleged plans against Colt Cabana in AEW, as Ringside News wrote that despite CM Punk's departure from the company and subsequent return to WWE in late 2023, the lingering tensions between Punk and AEW continue to simmer backstage. At the heart of the dispute lies a rumor alleging that Punk attempted to orchestrate the firing or removal of Colt Cabana from AEW, which served served as the catalyst for escalating conflicts, notably culminating in a backstage altercation during AEW All Out 2022 in September of that year. Punk's tenure with AEW came to an end after separate incident with Jack Perry backstage at AEW All in London in August of 2023, leading to his eventual return to WWE after nearly a decade at WWE Survivor Series War Games. According to recent reports from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, fresh insights into the ongoing saga between Punk and AEW have emerged. Allegations surfaced from an anonymous source within AEW who reached out to Dave Meltzer of WON following Punk's appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and preceding the airing of backstage footage from All in London. The source asserted, "I know there will be a lot of continued discussion about the whole situation with Punk/AEW this week, and I just wanted to reach out to give you a perspective and what is ultimately only my opinion." The informant claimed that Punk indeed sought to have Cabana dismissed from AEW and insisted that resolution of the matter requires transparency from both the company and Tony Khan. They emphasized the necessity for acknowledgement that Punk did indeed demand Colt be fired for no other reason than their previous personal issues, suggesting that AEW personnel feel empowered to defend themselves in light of how the Punk incident was handled. Moreover, the source highlighted the inability of individuals targeted by Punk during his MMA Hour appearance to counter his allegations, noting some true, some distorted, and some outright lies will continue to keep the messy situation alive, and I think we all want to move past it. The informant criticized Khan's defense of Punk, alleging that statements denying Punk's request to fire Cabana were misleading. They claimed Tony coming right out and saying Phil never asked for Colt to be fired and continuing to cover for him about that story even now makes saying anything unsafe for anyone. It definitely did happen. Additionally, the source alleged that Punk made false statements in an ESPN interview prior to his AEW return, which AEW intervened to suppress. The withheld statements purportedly contradicted Punk's denial of involvement in Cabana's dismissal. The source speculated that legal concerns may be hindering AEW's transparency on the matter. Furthermore, the Wrestling Observer newsletter disclosed sentiments from another AEW talent described as a major star who expressed skepticism regarding the veracity of AEW's account of the Punk-Cabana situation. Despite assurances from Khan, wrestlers reportedly voiced doubt, prompting Khan to assure them that their concerns were noted, albeit without further comment due to legal constraints. The aftermath of these discussions reportedly influenced AEW's decision to keep rosters separate between Dynamite and Collision, with plans to feature Punk prominently in the latter. Despite initial hurdles, Punk debuted on Collision. However, subsequent backstage incidents led to his termination from AEW, ultimately prompting his return to WWE. Despite these developments, Punk's recent remarks on Helwani's show and AEW's release of backstage footage indicate that the issue remains unresolved, suggesting that tensions between Punk and AEW are unlikely to dissipate soon. As Vince McMahon appears to be selling the rest of his shares in TKO Group Holdings, Ringside News added that the conclusion of an era is on the horizon. TKO has submitted a recent SEC filing disclosing that Vince McMahon plans to divest his remaining 8,258,887 shares of TKO stock. In a move signaling his intent to sell, McMahon has registered the shares for potential sale, though no transactions have occurred yet. According to TKO statement, this prospectus relates to the resale of up to 8,258,887 shares of our Class A common stock by the selling stockholders named in the prospectus or their permitted transferees. On September 12, 2023, World Wrestling Entertainment Inc., a Delaware corporation, and Endeavor Group Holdings Incorporated, a Delaware corporation, consummated the business combination of the businesses of WWE and TKO Operating Company, LLC, which owns and operates the Ultimate Fighting Championship pursuant to the transaction agreement by and among Endeavor Operating Company, LLC, a Delaware limited liability company and subsidiary of EDR, TKO OPCO WWE, TKO Group Holdings Incorporated, a Delaware corporation, and Whale Merger Sub Incorporated, a Delaware corporation and wholly owned subsidiary of TKO Group Holdings. We are registering the offer and sale from time to time of shares covered by this prospectus pursuant to such stockholders' registration rights under a registration rights agreement between us and such stockholders, subject to any contractual restrictions on them selling the shares of our Class A common stock they hold. The selling stockholders may offer, sell, or distribute all or a portion of their shares of our Class A common stock publicly or through private transactions at prevailing market prices or at negotiated prices. We will not receive any of the proceeds from the sale of the shares of our Class A common stock owned by the selling stockholders. We will bear all costs, expenses, and fees in connection with the registration of the shares of our Class A common stock, including with regard to compliance with state securities or blue sky laws. The selling stockholders will bear all commissions and discounts, if any, attributable to their sale of shares of our Class A common stock. Staying on this topic, it looks like WWE President Nick Khan is selling all his stock in TKO as Ringside News writes. WWE President Nick Khan has registered his 234,424 shares of TKO stock for sale, including restricted stock units. TKO's filing indicates that Khan holds 53,894 shares, with the remaining 180,530 shares consisting of Class A common stock issuable upon conversion of a portion of restricted stock units held by him, which do not vest within 60 days of the filing date. This filing, made on April 12th, signals Khan's intention to divest a portion of his TKO shares. Notably, Khan has not yet sold any of his stock. Khan is listed as having 53,894. The 234,424 shares includes 180,530 shares of Class A common stock, issuable upon conversion of a portion of restricted stock units held by Mr. Khan that do not vest within 60 days of the date hereof. In a parallel development, Vince McMahon, former WWE chairman and CEO, has expressed his intent to sell his remaining 8 million shares of TKO stock. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.